Afternoon everybody, Rich here, back again for another video for the Diecast F1 review. Here today is the Ferrari SF15T from the 2015 Formula 1 World Championship. And in the car is Sebastian Vettel. The model itself is by Bburago. Now there's a name from the past, Bburago, but I'll get to that in a minute. Of course, the Ferrari SF15T is the second car of the current rules of Formula 1, the turbocharged V6. Is it 1.6 or 1.5? Don't know. But yeah, part of the current rules of Formula 1, the hybrid series, and the SF15T is a perfect example of, I think, history repeating itself with a German driver. It's basically a German driver, a multiple world champion, leaving a fairly happy environment in a dominant team to join Ferrari and win races while they're in the middle of a crisis. Kind of a repeat of 1996 with Schumacher and of course Ferrari in that era, and I will do a review of that model as well. But anyway, of course, 2015 season is still ongoing at the moment. Today it is the 22nd of October, so we're just before the US Grand Prix, so the season is still in play at the moment. But 3 wins for Vettel so far in the season, and chance of a couple more as well. Second in the Drivers' Championship. He's just overtaken Rosberg at the last event. I think it was Russia, wasn't it? Yeah, he finished second there. 3 wins at Malaysia, Hungary. I can't remember the other one. Was it Singapore? I think it was. I can't remember. God, it was only a few weeks ago as well. Anyway. I'm not doing a very good review of this one, I tell you. It's difficult to remember things that happened only a few weeks ago, yet I can remember things that happened 20 years ago. Maybe it's just my age. I'm only 29. Anyway, this is the SF15T. And it's fair to say that Vettel is doing a stunning job at Ferrari. He completely wiped the floor with Kimi Raikkonen, although fair to say Raikkonen is not having the best of time with turbocharged cars. He had a pretty shit season throughout 2014, although fair to say that was more, I think, on Ferrari than Kimi himself. 2015 has been a better season, although still not up to grip with the current formula. Maybe the cars are not to his standard, the torque, or maybe it's just Ferrari not designing a good enough car for him. I know Kimi was a bit has his issues with car. He can get the best out of a car, a bad car, like the 2006 McLaren. He can, drag it through to the maybe not to the top, but at least get it up to the front of the grid. But 2015 isn't quite there at the moment. Although I'm pretty sure 2016 will be a much better year for Ferrari. They pretty much got rid of all their gremlins from last year and are a very solid second in the constructors. I think they're going to stay second. I don't think Williams will catch them. So it's pretty much as it is. But anyway, I'm rambling on. I'm not doing a very good job for this review because, well, the season's still in progress so I haven't really done much research on this car anyway. But anyway, it's a constant upgraded car as well, so this version of the model is probably probably an early season rendition anyway. But anyway, that's the review of the car in real life. Now onto the model itself. A name from the past, of course, Bburago. Not known for their Formula 1 models, although they did do a few in the early 90s, like the early McLarens and Brabhams and things like that. Basically using basic molds, basic parts, and not being particularly good at it. They weren't sold very well. They sold well, but they're not huge amounts. They don't sell for huge amounts, I should say. When you try to sell them on eBay, they're just ridiculously cheap and pretty tacky models. I should know, I've had them. But this really is a breath of fresh air for a model collector like me, because really, if you're going to buy a model these days, you're going to be priced out. Models selling for 150 down. I mean, it's sort of 150 pounds for a just released model, which is, in my mind, fucking ridiculous. In the past 10 years, the models have just tripled in price, and it's not right. But this is a breath of fresh air. I paid £37 for this car, and this is a 2015 car. And to be honest, it is comparable to the Mattel models, which were being priced at £100 last year. And I'm really happy with this car. I really do like this one, and I will point out its good points in just a moment. There are a few issues with it, of course, it being a first edition for Bburago to release a 118 model, you know, there's always going to be issues. I mean, Mattel had pretty big issues in their first models, but this one seems to be pretty good. I just moved the camera a bit closer in, so we have a good sweep over the car. So we've got the droopy nose, which is a pretty good sign of things. I really do like the nose on this Ferrari. It's really different compared to last year's, which was bloody awful. And of course, we've got the tyres there. The tyres, I'm pretty sure, are just reused from Mattel, although the dust on them doesn't really do things justice. So we've got this nice shaped bodywork at the rear. The rear tyres there. Got the rear wing, very nicely done. They're very solid as well. That's not going to fall off in a given moment. Plenty of die-cast on this as well. We've got the main body, which is die-cast. The air intake is die-cast metal as well, although it's a separate part to the rest of the body. The rear bodywork here is plastic. Of course, the wings on the side here are plastic as well. Down the nose, the camera mounts on the side of the nose are metal as well, so they're solid on there. They're not going to chip off or break off. The only issue I do have with the strength of the model is the front wing is a bit wibbly, so it's a bit, yeah, I don't want to put too much pressure on that, although saying that I think I've just cracked it. Brilliant. Right, so we do a quick swivel round to the rear. Of course, we've got all the details on the rear there. We've got the giant exhaust in the middle there, and God, these tyres are dusty. Really is annoying that when you pick up dust. And also something else to point out as well, the rear wheels are now separate units. They're not connected by a single axle between the two. They're now independent, so you can roll one and stop the other. So not a big issue, that just saves they're cutting back on metal prices, I suppose. Yeah, look around the rear here, get the thing in camera. We've got all the detailing around the rear there, and it's very nice as well. And of course, we turn it over to the underside, and it is using carbon effect plastic, but it is very reflective. You can see the tripod there, and you can see me vaguely as well. Hello. And of course, we've got the produced under license by Ferrari S.p.A, 118 made in China, which is something different because I'm pretty sure most Bburago models were made in Italy at the time. And of course, we've got the Bburago logo there. Ferrari SF15T. And you can see the plastic is reflective, but also carbon textured as well. And they've got two screw holes which mounted to the base, which are there, i.e. that one and that one. So you've got two screws to mount to the base. And tip it back up. I want to just look under the nose. You've got the nose detail there. See where the front wing is riveted to the rest of the chassis, or to the nose. And I know a lot of people have got a bit snotty about this model, saying, you know, the suspension's too fat, the front wing mounts are too thick, and all that gump. If you're a collector like me, you will just overlook these things, because I actually do like this. Well, like I said, I do like this car, and it is a breath of fresh air for a diecast collector. I think there are other diecast makers who are going to be making Ferraris this year, but I think they're just going to price themselves out as well. I think the Bburago version does do itself quite well. It does do the job justice. You know, it's a very nice model. So I've done well, not so much the plus points, but I have given you a look around the car. The issues with the car are mainly cosmetic because of gaps in the joints. So if I zoom in on the top of the side pod here, there is a pretty big gap in the joints there under the wing there. So there's a pretty big join gap there. Not so much a big issue with the air inlet. There have been a few people who have been a bit snotty about the join and the join in the bodywork here and the decal, saying that the decal should go over the join. But I've known from experience, when the decal goes over the join, you tend to get a split decal, or decal, whatever they call them. But I'm quite happy with the decal being placed separately over the parts like that, and it does look quite good. It also makes the car easily to come apart as well, so you don't damage anything. If you're, you know, a bit extravagant with your models, you tend to take them apart and modify them, so you're not going to have any issues there. The rear bodywork here, and God, there's dust on this thing. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe the box leaks, I don't know. The rear bodywork here, this black part here, is a separate piece from the red bodywork, so it's a separate piece of plastic. It's black matte plastic, so there's no carbon texture on it, and it is connected directly to the white piece, which is moulded into it as well. I think the white is a sticker or decal, and you can see the join line around the edge where the it joins onto the red bodywork, or is connected to it. And you can see there's an overlapping sticker on the top of the bodywork here with the Italian flag. Slight issue there. Excuse me. So we move down to the rear here. No gaps in the rear wing here, which are normally vented and let the air flow through it. They are solid plastic. Also the fins at the bottom here, which are solid as well. We turn around again, and of course we've got the rear bodywork here. We've got the exhaust pipe. Got a little monkey seat there, which is sort of hovering. So I'll just wiggle that. That's a separate piece hanging from the pretty much directly down from the DRS mechanism. The rear wing end plates are quite thick, but I'm quite happy with that though, because it does add a bit of strength to it. The rear wheels are a bit loose, but they're not too bad, and it does let the car roll quite nicely. And if I just zoom out a bit, and you see the join lines across the bodywork there. I'll just zoom out a bit here, get a view of the car like that. Move my hand out of the way. But yeah, overall, if you're going to be nitpicky about things, be honest, because I suppose if you are going to pay £200-300 for a model car, you're either going to be really gullible, or you're going to expect a really top-notch job. But if you're going to spend £45 to find a model which is as good as this, then I'm pretty happy. You can nitpick all you want, but I'm going to defend it because I really do like this car. And there's probably a few more join lines as well. I know, like I said at the beginning, some people were a bit snotty about the wide nose front wing mounts, or the pillars. They are a bit fat, but then again, a model of this size, you tend to get front wings breaking off, and it does hold on the front wing quite nicely. There is an issue with the front wing. I've noticed the front wing is a bit, that's sort of level. The front wing is sort of leaning back a bit, sort of sucking too much air underneath, where it should be a bit more like that. But not a big issue. It just needs, I don't know if it's sort of bent in the making, or it's just sort of collapsed that way, I don't know. But not too bad. Got the steering as well, so the steering is sort of springy, so you just turn it and it springs back. Never mind. But yeah, it is a nice model. The light isn't really doing it justice. It is a really nice red as well, and really nice applicated paint. The light is natural light, but it's not shining very well, and the camera probably doesn't pick it up very well either. I will say it's probably, I have to say, I think Bburago have bought Mattel's China factory and used the parts, but to do more cost-effective measures, probably done a better job with it as well. The driver is not a Mattel driver; it's got a different driver figure. If you look in there, you can see between the driver's legs the moulding is not quite spot on there, but you do have moulded separate rubber seat belts, so that the driver doesn't have decal seat belts. He has proper rubber ones, or proper seat belts there. Just zoom into the steering wheel again for the first time. We get the camera right. There we go. So the steering wheel, although not hugely detailed, has got a big decal on it to bring out all the details. I'll go down the nose here, and so we've got the push pull rod suspension there. And I will point out that Bburago have been a bit cheeky with this one, really, with their steering mechanism. The push, or the pull rods rather, which are sort of diagonal. You can see the pull rods there, which are the straight edges inside there, the middle bar. They're actually being doubled up as the tie rods or track rods for the steering mechanism. Though it's not really noticeable when you're dabbling with it, you can see it from there. The pull rod is being used as the track rod, so a bit cheeky there. But then again, it's not really a massively noticeable thing, but it's a bit cheeky with them. But fair enough. They're doing a pretty good job otherwise. And also you can see the shiny plastic of the under tray there. Carbon effect, but shiny in the same time. Let me just zoom out a bit. And I just said the car does roll very nicely as well. It is, so you can play with this car because it's not a massively expensive model. And pretty much on day of release I picked this one up, and I bought it. I think it was £36 at the time, plus a few quid postage, so it's probably about £40. And I'm quite happy with it. It got eBay sellers now selling them for about £50, which I think is a bit much, but I say £30–40 is about, you know, where the Mattel, well, where the diecast models of the time, or diecast models, were about 10 years ago. So 2004, 2005, these cars were about £39, £40 if you like, and it seemed acceptable. And then in the next couple of years it just skyrocketed. But this is a real breath of fresh air for diecast collectors. And if Bburago can make a car with as good a detail as this and make it and sell it at a reasonable price, then by all means do it. You know, I'll be happy with it, because I mean, Minichamps and at the point Mattel, and now of course S.p.A have gotten in on the act. They're just pricing themselves out, and I don't think the diecast market's going to last very long. It's kind of like the same way Formula One's going at the moment. If you've got the money, then you're in the game. But if you're like me, you haven't got a huge budget, then you know you're going to be put out of the market pretty soon. And eventually, a lot of people are going to see sense like that as well, and not pay expensive or huge amounts for these pretty much the same quality models all around. And I've been having a discussion with other people as well. You know, it's just ridiculous. And I mean, it was I think his name Joe wanted me to review the Senna's Brabham from the '83, his test car, and even that, a reissued model is ridiculously overpriced now. £102 or £120 at some places. Ridiculous model, or a ridiculous price for an old model, basically a reissued old model, and it's ridiculous. But anyway, you can cry and moan about it all you want, all I want, but it's never mind. Anyway, I'll move on to the box now. The box it comes in does have a plinth, and I can't remember. Oh, here it is. The plinth it comes on is a basic black plastic plinth like that, and the screw just fell out, so we just plonk that there and try and zoom out. So there's the plinth. It does come with a basic sticker, so you can peel that off and put something a bit better on. So it's just a cheap sticker like that, and the car does of course sit on the plinth quite nicely when it's screwed on, so that's that. But anyway, we'll get rid of the plinth, and I'll pick up that screw in a minute. Can we just pick that up and get rid of that? And the box it comes in is that. So there's the box, nice red and black colouring. Of course, we've got the big Bburago. Is it pronounced Bburago? I don't know. Well, that's how I pronounced it over the years anyway. Well, there's the logo. Got the Ferrari there. Look, there's me. Hello. So there's that. Of course, I've got the big picture on the side. I've got Sebastian Vettel there, and me as well. Hello. You've got the all that there. The way the box opens as well, it lift the lid up, and the sides collapse like that, so it sort of folds like that. Goes around the back. We've got other models in the collection, all on different scales and qualities as well, I imagine. And the price sticker has been peeled off, didn't realise that. Underneath you got all the gump there. On the top you got Ferrari and things like that. And it does look pretty good in the box. The box is sort of like the early Mattel boxes. It's not overly strong, it's not sort of chunky cardboard like the Minichamps models got, but it does the job, and it's a bit bigger than the Minichamps models as well. It's a bit wider, width-wise, but sort of a bit wider, and maybe a bit taller, I don't know. So that's the box, and the inside of the box comes with this piece as well. This attaches to the plinth, so this goes around the outside of the plinth. It does add a bit more support to it, so it does it's a bit stronger. So that's the all the gubbins you get in the box. So back to the car, and I have to say it is a very nice car, and like I said in my previous rant, it is a breath of fresh air for a model collector. And there are people who are going to be snotty about these things, people who want uber quality with the models. I know Bburago have not exactly set themselves a good reputation with the models in the past. I know, you know, if you want a model of a supercar of say the mid-90s, then you know Bburago was pretty much in charge at the time, and they've done some good models. But when it comes to Formula One, they sort of went a bit with it. But this really is a change in the right direction, in my point of view. And if it carries on into 2016 and beyond, then I'll be quite happy. You know, £37, probably be a bit more expensive next year, but price wise I'm really happy with it, and the quality it's fine. A few niggles, a few issues, but they could be corrected over the next couple of years. It's safe to say Minichamps and Mattel and S.p.A and all that, they got their own issues as well, and they'll never be 100% perfect. But this model, I really do like it. And my voice is going as well. But yeah, I would recommend picking this one up, because I've got a feeling after a couple of months, or maybe into next year, the price of this model will go up. So if you see one, or if you see both of them, Vettel and Raikkonen, pick them both up, because they do display well, they do look good on the shelf, and they really are a nice model, and that is my honest opinion. So if you're a collector like me, this is the one for you. Anyway, this is Rich signing off, logging off and disappearing, and I shall return with another review. So bye for now.